Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 21 of our Vanilla City Skylines Let's Play. And before we kick off today's city tour, I'm just going to go ahead and say thank you, a massive thank you to everyone who's interacted with the channel recently. We've gone up to 18 subscribers now, which is crazy. I never really expected to surpass 5 subscribers with this channel when I started it out. And you guys have been smashing the likes and the comments recently, dropping in suggestions of what we could build and where we could build it, and I just wanted to let you know that that is hugely appreciated. It's great to see you guys are enjoying the videos, and yeah, keep it up because I'm really enjoying putting these out for you guys. And without further ado, we'll dive in before we get too soppy. Today's episode is going to be a city tour, partly because we promised to do them every 10 episodes, and also since the last one we've gained quite a few new viewers, so I thought now would be a good time to pick up with the city tour. We finished the last one, and if you haven't seen it, it kind of covers all this area over here. That's in episode 10, so we're not going to go over that again. We're just going to carry on where we finished the last city tour, which was over here. So if you want to see all that kind of stuff, then go ahead and watch episode 10, and you'll see what we did over there. So we'll start here. So this is the Chester district, and this serves as a kind of nightlife, downtowny student kind of area. So all this place is zoned as a leisure and tourism specialization stuff for the commercial. So you see there's lots of pubs, kind of sushi places, gyms around here for people to use, and there's a nice little park in the middle. I think we're going to change this park up a little bit because it's kind of a little bit crap, you know, it doesn't look that good. So I'm probably going to change this out with some plazas, and then we may even put a park here, kind of in this empty green space, and let the highway flow through it. I think that might look quite cool. So we'll probably do that soon. Obviously we have a little transport hub for the area here. Lots of people using the metro and the different bus lines that connect to this terminal. You can see how many people are waiting to use this one. We'll probably have to increase the number of buses on that line. And then we have our big green renewable energy high density residential stuff over here. That flows around the canals, and there's different crossing points over here that come onto this tram line here, which we've recently built. But if you missed that episode, this is our kind of tram interchange area for this part of town, and there's different tram lines that run over there and over there, but they all kind of meet and converge in this section where there's a little more leisure specialization over here, kind of a little bit of nightlife, and then there's a couple of parks and some nice little renewable green markets that have popped up. This place is looking quite nice now. This is a recent addition to the city, so if you missed it, I think it's episode 18 or maybe 19 we did this. So if you'd like to see us building this, you can go ahead and check it out on the playlist, which I'll try and remember to leave in the description. The rest of this part of town is just residential, or the renewable green city stuff, if you're looking why, or if you're wondering why the buildings look like this. That's because they are set to be renewable green energy, which is from the Green Cities expansion, and they look really nice. If you're driving along the highway here, you know, you've got these kind of nice modern high-rise looking flats to your right. Looks really cool. It's a bit of a contrast to this side of town over here, which we'll cover momentarily. So heading further out of the canal, if we follow this tram that's heading out of town, we'll come to a little high school which we need to reposition, and then we come into what was our first campus area in this part of town. So the trams have their own little interchange here around this gazebo. Could do with a little more detail around this side of town. But people are using the trams, which is really good to see. You know, they're using them to get into the university. And this is our tech school. So this is called Friendwood Tech, and it's kind of reached its limit now. There's a little bit more detailing to do where we have these empty green spaces along here. But it's reached level 3, and it's probably going to stay at that level unless we kind of move the police academy and expand the campus out this way, which might not be a bad idea. But yeah, I don't think it looks too bad. This was our first experiment with the campus expansion, and I think it looks okay. It's not nothing too crazy. We do have the School of Tourism and Leisure here, which increases the effectiveness of all our tourism and leisure areas. Kind of does what it says on the tin. It's quite a nice looking building. It fits in nicely with this part of town as well, I think. And then we have the police academy over here as well, which, as you can imagine, increases the effectiveness of our police force. I think it also increases the capacity of jails as well. Then following this road up, we can cross over town into this side. And this side again is kind of, looking back now, there's actually a lot of kind of tourism and leisure specialised areas, but that's kind of how places are in England. You know, whenever you find a high street, there's a lot of bars and diners and gyms and clubs and whatnot, so I think it's fairly accurate to life. You see, this little park interchange here is super busy, and we've put some undergrowth under here along the highway. You know, no one walks down here. This is all kind of overgrown, but still needs a little more detailing. And we are planning to expand this plaza out around here to fill in this green space and make this a little bit of a park area, kind of a nice little, almost banana shape that would flow around there. We'll hopefully be doing that soon. Then again, this place just kind of mirrors itself with two plazas with picnic tables, and one of my clubs is burning down. We'll fine, we'll just ignore that for the moment. And then there's, you know, there's bus lines through here and whatnot. It's quite a nice part of town now. It's just like a little simple battery shape with entries and exits either side of it. And then we come into Magic Land, which is our only amusement park in the city. Again, it was kind of our first experiment with the park life stuff, because I haven't really built an amusement park before. And we're kind of left with a lot of these empty, unlit green spaces, which is kind of not really how amusement parks look, especially not in England. They're kind of really dense and there isn't much room between the attractions. It's kind of an awkward shape as well, just because of the where we built it. But you know, we live and learn, and maybe for our next city we can take what we've learned here and then take it elsewhere and make a better one. And then along the back of this residential estate we have along the back of this amusement park we have a residential area. Which has grown nicely now. It's very suburban. I really like the way this part of town has turned out. And there's also a little mini park that resides within this section. I think it looks quite nice. It's got a big rock in the middle of it, a few little rocky outcrops as well, and there's a cafe and a gazebo, and a couple of restrooms as well, and a basketball court. So this just kind of sits in this residential area. I really like the way it looks. We've got a lot of these little lamps that hang about now, so it kind of lights up the area nicely. And then again, these guys are all just low density residential, nothing too spectacular. We do have quite a nicely designed elementary school around here somewhere, if I can pick it out amongst all the buildings. Here it is. So we kind of did these little fenced off tree areas, and I think they turned out quite nicely. We haven't really done anything else like this since, and I think we should maybe try and do a few more stuff like this where we use the fences as decoration. But that's just a little elementary school. Again, nothing too spectacular. And then there's a cemetery over here as well with a crematorium, just to meet the demand of the dead. And then all these houses are pretty much level 5 now, so this area looks really nice. Relatively happy with it. And then coming back towards this kind of centre of town over here, we have our kind of promenade, and these are like ridiculously tall, but because of the way the landscape fell, it might have been better to put them down here where the quayside is a little more gentle. But we placed them here anyway, and it's kind of too late to move them now. So we've got a marina. How people get down to their boats, I've no idea, but you know, it's Skylines, so who cares? And then this just follows the river, and then there's a little playground here. And a few little parks and bushes and paths through this town just to fill out this dead green space. And then there's a little path, a little bridge that comes up through here. And then this links back to this side of town where this main road comes through. And then there's a residential pathway over here, and you can see how many people are using this now, which takes people back into a bus stop and the metro line. I think this is actually the busiest bus line in the city. I think if we have a look at that, you'll see there's a lot of people on there. I see there's actually too many people. We need to add some more buses here. And then just how many people are using the metro line. So super busy, popular part of town. Very happy with how that ended up turning out. And then adjacent on the other side of the highway, which is linked by this little bridge here, which crosses over and then comes into our little roundabout. Again, nothing too outstanding here, just a little residential area. We did a little bit of a park district with those fenced off trees again near our elementary school. And then these houses are kind of built around the big rocks that we placed here, so it's got a little more natural look to it. And then again over here, this is all just low density residential. Nothing outstandingly spectacular, just a few paths linking them through. And then these do back onto the canal, which looks quite nice now, I think. We've got kind of these canal-side housing along here, which all backs onto the industrial area of town, which we covered in the first city tour. Give you a little brief glimpse of what that looks like now. No, it's nothing too mind-blowing. And then there's a couple of little pedestrian paths that cross over, and there's a cycle highway here as well, which links into our cycle highway network, which was a recommendation by Ever24, who also recommended our little promenade down here as well. And then following back from this roundabout, this takes them back onto the highway, and then this is just a bus lane which follows up into some pretty standard low density commercial stuff. And then these are some tourism specializations, so there's a few hotels here, and then again some more leisure down here. And then this kind of little centre of town is where we've got some little commercial buildings in here, a couple of plazas, some nice pathways taking people through. And then we have our little kind of plaza, which no one is actually using, which is a little bit of a shame, but you know, it's there just for decoration purposes really. And then there's a few more paths and plazas through here which link people back to this side of the residence. Quick cig of my drink. I don't realise how dehydrated you get talking for so long. So that's that side of town, pretty much. It's nothing outstandingly spectacular. I'm particularly a fan of this side. I like the way this turned out, and we'll do a park here hopefully pretty soon. But that'll be coming up pretty shortly. Following the highway out of the map, obviously our map ends over here and it kind of stops in that direction. We have our forestry, which is currently burning down. Nothing to worry about, the fire engines are here, putting out those fires. So this highway here has a little interchange about it, and people can come onto this. It's just a two-lane highway, 2 lanes in each direction. There's a bit of an interchange. We have some animal sheds which are all burning down now. Of course, when I do a city tour, my city is on fire. And then it has its own little power mill. No, and there's some more power stations up on the hill over here, some little windmill farms, rather than this place taking its power from the main grid. So it's getting really busy. And then this is just not a forestry, it's just farmland, isn't it? Yeah. So there's lots of fields and a couple of barns, and there's a little roundabout through here as well. And then, yeah, it's just pretty standard stuff really. And then this links back into this side of town, which again was covered in the first city tour. And then we've got some nice little fields down here as well that are just boxed off where we couldn't get in another large field. But this place produces all our crops and stores it as well in these little barns. And then there's little links back onto that main highway that flows back up through there onto the main highway in the map. So yeah, there hasn't been too many additions to this side of town. There's nothing really worth covering. Again, you can see most of this in that first city tour, which again is episode 10 of this vanilla Let's Play, if you'd like to go and see it. We added this recently as well. This is just a little kind of tram town where we've got a few tram lines coming and going here. And people are using them. You can see them heading off in that direction. Again, just a few plazas. And then we've also got our cycle highway, which continues to flow through the city and down into that part of the map over there. So we'll join the main highway now. So again, all this stuff, obviously this estate has expanded up to the highway now. We've got some nice trees just shielding it from the highway. But this was just a huge residential expansion to meet some demand and bring this side of town up to the highway just to fill in that space. And again, sticking up to Ever24's recommendation of a cycle highway, these guys have their own dedicated path right over the highway, and then different exits and entrances into town, and then it continues to flow. And it is getting used, so really good idea from Ever there. You know, and then they come out onto dedicated cycle lanes here, which they are using, which is nice to see. And that just takes them into that side of town. So our last city tour, the highway ended around here. And now we have all this in front of us. So this is our main downtown skyscraper city area. So the highway now joins into one road here and then comes into a big ass roundabout which has a pedestrian highway network crossing over it so people can come and go to different sides of town without having to drive. We'll come down this way first. So this road links in to another roundabout which expands into a high density residential area which again is served by bus lines and yeah, nothing too outstanding in this part. This is just high density stuff that sits by the railways. And then we have our kind of financial district here if you like. We need to do a little bit more down here just to fill in this space. Could actually maybe do a park here, might be a nice idea, rather than cramming it in with skyscrapers. And then this road, which comes off that roundabout again, comes down here and crosses over the railway tracks into another Green Cities Renewable High Density Residential Park. And this has a little plaza in the middle of it, a little bit of a park area, and then again all this road is fenced off, apart from this pedestrian highway which takes them across the tracks and in front of our main train station. And this brings us out to our basketball arena, which gets a lot of traffic on a match day. You see there's a lot of people gathered outside here when the match is on. And again, this main road leads people through. And in front of our train station. And this area serves as the main transport hub for the city. You can see just how many people are coming and going through this side of town. And there's also a monorail station here as well with a bus interchange. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. You know, we've got the kind of the monorail flowing through here. Looks really sweet. Super happy with it. Yeah, and a lot of people come through here. So kind of from all points of the map, from over here and here and here and here, they all converge on this section. And then they can grab different metro lines. So, you know, if they get off here, they can then grab a metro over in that direction. And then there's buses and monorails and trains that serve different part, and we have intercity trains that come in here as well. So super busy, super popular area of town. And then there's plazas and taxi ranks and whatnot, and yeah, really happy with how it turned out. And then this also ties in with the next area of the map, our high density tourism area. So this is where tourists come. There's the Sydney House, not the Opera House, sorry, is down here. We've got the Expo Centre along here as well. You know, some nice roads, and again there's paths linking people through to that transport hub again. So it's all flowing really nicely. We're having no major traffic issues through here. Then we've got the city arch, a little roundabout, pubs, and it goes off in different directions. Monorail stations flowing through. And then we've got this road which links down from that Green City Renewable Residential area over there. And then this comes down into our kind of hotel front that overlook the ocean. And I've got a kind of a plan for down here. So similar to what we did with our terraforming cargo hub over there, I think I'm going to terraform this part of the land out and maybe make kind of a beach resort down here, because we don't really have much beach. And I think that'll look pretty cool down here. So we'll probably do that soon, I hope. More false promises. And again, you know, this road brings it back down behind the Expo Centre and then back into this part of town as well, where our monorails converge. And then people are actually using them as well, which is nice to see. So, following this road brings us back into our main roundabout, which brings us into town. Ignore this now, this isn't permanent. This was just to kind of deal with a massive death wave that we had. There was a lot of crematoriums and cemeteries over here. But we're going to change that soon. So this side of town, again, we've got some more high density residential along here, which was just meeting some demand. And then the monorail track splits off down here as well. And we have our science centre over here too, which is quite a nice looking building. And then this monorail takes us into our kind of secondary transport hub for the area, where the trains do cross over, and they have their own little dedicated platform here. And there is plenty of people using them. Hopefully some people will get off now to prove my point. Yeah, not that many, but you get the point. You know, these trains do get quite busy. and it's good to see them that they do actually serve a purpose. And then this is kind of the secondary downtown area, and you can see we've got a kind of a lot of empty green spaces in here at the moment that just need filling in, either with park area or maybe a few more skyscrapers and unique buildings. So this monorail just kind of has a downtown feel to it. We've got the public library, there's a police station, there's a hospital here as well, and then, you know, there's just some nice generic buildings. And my scrolls stopped working for some reason. There we go. Yeah, so nice feel to this part of town. Again, we've got some more of the IT specialist office zone in here going on, which is what makes these buildings look like they do. And then there's the lungs of the city unit building down here as well. So yeah, overall pretty nice feel to this side of town. I'm happy with how it's turned out. And then down here, this is the highway that follows the beach. So people can take a shortcut through the city without having to deal with all the traffic here. And then they come into our kind of king of industrial part of town over here. So this area, which also links up to Frenwood Tech, is our oil refinery. You know, we've got a lot of kind of oil storage here. And then there's actual kind of oil drills that are pulling oil out of the ground. And then there's different buildings here that turn it into petroleum and plastics and different kind of oil-based products. This is all based around here. They do have their own dedicated highway entrance and exit, but they don't really use it, which is really annoying. So what I'm thinking of doing is, because at the minute they're kind of all taking these roads out, and I don't want them to do that. So we may put a little zone here that bans heavy traffic, so they're then forced to take the highway out of town, which kind of joins back up to this part of the map. So we'll have a look at that, see if we can make that work. This horrible looking mess over here is just our trash, garbage, rubbish kind of processing area. Doesn't look amazing at the minute. We need to do something with it. Maybe even push it back to this part of the map over here so it runs alongside the highway. It's a little bit too close to kind of here. Like if you look across the highway, you know, it's a bit of a horrible view, isn't it? You wouldn't really want to live there. And then on the other side of these cargo hubs, which again link into the main rail line, which follows down here, you can see there's a cargo train about to come through. And then these guys just have 3 train cargo hubs where they can stop and unload their respective cargoes, and it splits into a different line here for them. I'd quite like to have done a little bit more detailing with this, but didn't really leave myself enough room, and I didn't really want to rip up all this road network, where again there's kind of buses serving this area, and there's a metro line as well. And then we come into a series of roundabouts which serve our warehouse area, and there's a couple of unique factories around here as well. So again, continuing that industrial theme, we have the toy factory over here. There's the household plastics over here. I can't remember what this one is. And then it's got its nuclear power plants behind it. We only just built this last episode. And then this dedicated highway is the one that feeds into the beach one over here. So you can see how it all links together. And then this exit here links into a roundabout, which links into a few more factories and a bit of office zoning and a couple more warehouses. So I've kind of going from the angle that this is kind of admin, kind of the admin centre for all these industrial buildings. And then back on this main road we have our food factory and a couple of plazas to increase the happiness of these offices along here. But yeah, this area is looking alright. It's getting really busy, and it's not finished yet. You know, we've got a lot of space along here for more industrial and offices and factories and whatnot that we can do. And then this road along the cliff top here links back into this part of the downtown through the little roundabout here and back into that area of town. And then the most recent thing that we have built is our cargo hub. Need to do a little bit of road admin here. I think, you know, there's a touch more detail that needs to go on. But this cargo hub is looking pretty sweet now. I'm relatively happy with how it's working. We had a couple of suggestions from a comment. I don't have his name on me at the moment, but he said maybe we could build a dam across the middle part, which would look really sweet, and I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't do that, but there's still time to do it. I think we could do it maybe across here. So definitely want to work on that at some point. So thanks for that suggestion again, dude. Much appreciated. We'll try and implement it into the city. So this is all a one-way network where it kind of keeps them flowing. And just for aesthetic purposes, I added in some oil tanker storage units here. They don't really serve a purpose because there's no oil for them to store here. And I think these do have built-in oil extraction, but there is no oil in this part of the map, so they're useless. But there's a nice little kind of warehouse storage here as well. And it just gives it that kind of, you know, cargo hub feel rather than just having the cargo hubs in a roundabout. Yeah, I think it turned out okay. Traffic does back up through certain times of the day. But, you know, it's nothing too major. You can see it is moving for the vast majority of the time. You know, if it does get too busy, then we'll have to deal with it. And then this road just links back up onto the main road system through here, which takes them back into downtown. And then this bridge links them back over to our cargo hubs, which links them back over to the highway. And then they can also exit the road here onto a one-way highway system, which takes them back to the main highway, through the railway, and through this academy on our right, which I'll cover in a moment. And then this takes them back onto the highway, and then they can then go in any direction that they wish. So this road here just keeps them from being forced back through this side of town. So yeah. And then the last thing that we need to cover is our Heatherwood International College, and we also have a track and field stadium here as well, part of the new campus stuff. So this links in from the main downtown area. I'll have another drink before we start this bit. So from our secondary transport hub, this roundabout links off and then down into a little asymmetrical road here, where people can join the highway or continue on if they wish. I thought that might be an issue with traffic getting backed up, but it isn't at all. It's flowing okay. And I think these roads are helping somewhat. But we'll see if it does back up in the future. So we come into this road, which goes under the highway through a little bridge. And then it links back into our little tram Canal Island side of town over here. But then it comes into a little one-way arm, which heads up and through here. We've got a nice little park and plaza in the middle. And then these are one-way roads. You can see there's traffic coming up and through them. And then it links into our university. So this is the liberal arts building stuff. And it's growing. I think we're at level 3 now. I think it's classed as recognised or renowned. I can't remember which one it is. And it has its own dedicated tram line. And people are using it, which is surprising. I didn't think this would get much usage. But that just takes people back over to that side of town, which gives them access to train lines and metros and whatnot. So it just improves that public transport stuff. And yeah, so just kind of a general overview of this place. You know, we've got the School of Education here, which increases the capacity and effectiveness of all our schools. This backs onto the highway. And there's a library on site as well. There's drama clubs and fountains and whatnot. So this place is still in development. There's a cafeteria down here as well. And then we've got the groundskeeping stuff over here. And then there's the, I think this is the library, the liberal arts library. And then there's a little graduation building here as well, where you know, our students come in. So it's a nice little road layout. It's linked together with a lot of paths. And then this is a one-way road through and out into the city. So rather than forcing them, if they are this side of campus, they don't have to head all the way back down there. But I didn't want people to enter in through here. If they want to come into the campus, then they have to use the main road and the main entrance, which is down here. So yeah, still lots of stuff to do, lots of spaces to fill in. And you guys, again, just going to mention this, you have been smashing the comments with recommendations. There was a comment from a guy who said that we should be building some mines up in the mountains over here, because we do have some ore in this part of the map, and that would be super cool to look into doing. There's a guy that wants us to build a zoo, which is we're definitely going to do at some point. There was also a comment asking for some tutorial videos, and I'm kind of working on a few ideas of what we can do, and it's kind of inspired by this over here. So for you guys that like playing Vanilla City Skylines, definitely keep an eye out for those. I'm hoping I can get them out in the next week or so. But what really want to do this city tour first of all. So yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. If you do like what you see and you like to hang around for more of this Vanilla City Skylines Let's Play, we are trying to get these out 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times a week. So if you're enjoying them, because I certainly am, then do hang around on the channel. If you are new here, you can find a link to my Twitch in the description, where we play Destiny 2, Borderlands 2, FIFA 19, and other Xbox games. So if you're interested in some chilled out, chatty streams, then come and join me on Twitch. And in the description as well, you'll also find links to some Google Sheets that detail my schedule if you're interested in keeping up with when these episodes are released. And you can also find a link to my setup if you'd like to know what I use to make these episodes, which I think does need updating since I got this new microphone. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it, and please do enjoy the rest of your day.